This week on the Newsreel, we're talking to Jim Henson, our pollster, who just finished the Texas Tribune, University of Texas poll. Actually, it's the University of Texas, Texas Tribune poll. Got to be careful here. He's a government professor at UT and also runs the Texas Politics Project. So you did this poll. The whole thing's on our website. What's the big takeaway here?
I mean, I think the underlying sort of theme here is that we're continuing to see this battle within the Republican Party, you know, between very pronounced forces on the right side of the party and an ever-shrinking moderate wing of the party. So, you know, you keep looking at the poll in the U.S. Senate race numbers, you see David Dewhurst and Ted Cruz battling over, you know, what I've been calling kind of the fat part of the Republican distribution. Mm-hmm. That is, if you look where the Republican voters are, it's in the people that identify as very conservative and extremely conservative. Right. You know, the lieutenant governor's leading in that area, but that's where Cruz is really giving them a fight, and that's where all the action is. You know, you look in the other kind of policy issues, and you see that. You know, you see it in abortion. You see it in the item that we did on tax pledges, where, you know, if you give people the choice of candidates taking an anti-tax pledge or give people the option of expressing the opinion that candidates should wait until the legislative session, essentially, to see whether that makes sense. You know, people actually prefer that their candidates wait overall, but then you break that down, and the far right end of the liberal conservative spectrum are really in favor of the tax pledges, and that's where all the Republican candidates are going. Right. And then finally, you look at the lieutenant governor's race, and you see, you know, which is very speculative at this point, but as we found in the last poll, the only candidates that are really moving the needle are Susan Combs and Dan Patrick, which, you know, despite Susan Combs having endorsed some very conservative candidates in the last couple of months, certainly plays out as somebody from the institutional establishment, that is Susan Combs, versus somebody with a much more, shall we say, insurgent kind of profile in Dan Patrick.
All of that's on the website. Thanks, Jim.